Yes, good evening, everyone. I am Ibrahim Akure, the Sports Minister, University of the Gambia. Actually, Honorable Minister, I must admit that you have been amazing in responding to our calls at the University of the Gambia, especially Sports Ministry, which I'm currently overseeing. Actually, your assistant has made an immense impact on the development of UTG sports thus far. We are vividly appreciated. However, there are students which, with the fondest of dreams to pursue sports administration as a career, would you look to this and make these dreams come fruition for our students, since it's aligned with your vision of promoting sports and building the capacity of young people in this our great country? So actually, we want to know what are the mechanisms that you actually want to help us with this particular issue.
The stadium will be ready. And can you please specify, give us a date? Or after spending over 285 million for renovation of the stadium, the first renovation, why was not it approved by FIFA? Those are my questions.
Ndamumulai Jameda, from Gambia Basketball Association. Well, mbal tentula mbal jaila because naje minister be mol mako can assign in terms of sport development. But na problem minti right now, Allah fa na sport janjang sate beto, which is very important. But naje ko even stadium all lokang dulal beto regional, but ibuka sport dol involved, which woman tell a worry because naje ko nila fa development na for your sport dol be at nyola football tramantara Gambia jang. We have other sports as well, which is very important. They are doing tremendous right now because you're spending too much on football. Why not your chance the sport dollar? At least you can medal on nafi, like a goal nafi, you know. Alia try, alia sport doll fana, but not Daniel. Minimum promote, minimum alman sport doll at Allah development infrastructure in Kono. Thank you.
At least we have a Gambian man who play Premier League. One of the, in fact, I cannot say one of the best league in the world. One of the best teams, Brighton, and he scored for Brighton in the weekend. That's an example. We want to see a Gambian playing in the NBA. Ita muna na manta play NBA. All right, all right.
All right. So for the first thing, my fellow minister of sports from the university, thank you for that compliment. No, actually, we're in the process. Let me put it that way. We've worked with the University of the Gambia. We've had several meetings to start the sport management course at the university. And really, this year was our intended year because everything was done, the curriculum was developed, and agreement was reached. In fact, there was a budget from the university as to what we need, they need to be able to start the first year. And they wanted support from us to be able to do that. And we were ready to do that. The only problem was space. And they wanted us to allow them to settle at the Faraba campus, and then they will be able to find good classes for the sport management because they didn't want to take students and then struggle with space. So at the moment, at our own level, we are ready. We're holding on to the university management to complete. Maybe you can help us push from that level, right? So yeah, so that's it, because we know a lot of people are interested. And it's for your own interest, because you have a lot of people today that are teaching PE, for instance, or sports science, but they did not study. They just probably look at the youngest in the teaching and say, yo, I make a PE teacher. You know, we want the one to be not the youngest, but the one that is trained to understand how to run that. The renovation, why was it not approved? You see, there is a misconception that we have tried to explain to people, and it seems that people don't still understand. There has never been an instance where CAF came here and disapproved the stadium. It didn't happen. And I've said this in the radio, we've said about it. When CAF visited, we said it was a preliminary visit. And it was at our invitation, on the advice of the Federation, to invite CAF to come and look at what our plans were for the stadium and advise on whether it is good enough to meet the CAF requirement. And when the Sidat came here, he did not come to decide whether the stadium can be approved or not. We didn't invite him for that. He came to help, and he was supposed to come at the beginning of the project. But sometimes when you invite international organizations, it takes time. So when they came here in August of last year, it was a preliminary inspection to look at the plans in place and advice. And his advice was what we intended to do in the first phase is not adequate enough to meet CAF standards. And he said we must expand, and he identified additional areas that we needed to do. Those areas were already in the plan. And at the beginning of the project, we did explain that the stadium is going to be renovated in phases due to the amount of cost that was involved. But we wanted to do the first phase and then get the stadium to play matches, and then we continue on the second and the third. So he said, no, you have to be able to do all the orders, at least to be able to meet CAF standard because the stadium was banned. So that was the only ban that we know as a country, and that is not what some people seem to understand, because when we issued our press statement to explain, instead of people reading our press statement to understand, they decided to follow what other people were saying that was not in line with what we said. So this one, when we're done, is when CAF now will be coming to determine whether we can play here or not. I guess that clears it. Now, in terms of the cost, if you're a journalist, I'm asking you to go online, make research on how much money other countries are spending on renovating their stadiums. We had Sierra Leone is renovating, Burkina Faso is renovating. There are 33 countries in Africa who were banned by CAF to not play in their country. And from the time they banned those countries in 2022, March, until now, only 11 countries succeeded in getting their stadium ban lifted. So there are 22 countries that are still not able to play in their own country. Now, 11 countries that succeeded in getting off the ban, there is no country that spent even $10 million to renovate its stadium. What we are spending right now on that stadium is less than $4 million. So, and we want to meet the same standard that those countries that are spending $10 million are going to meet, and the materials are coming from the same Turkey, from the same China. You look at it. So these are the things. I know when we talk about money here, people say, oh, that's hardest with everybody. But if you want to compare yourself with another country, then you should be ready to spend what other countries are spending. So this is the thing. All right, I guess that answers it. But like I said, people can search. You know, I do the research myself, and I know that there is no country spending even 10 million. Anything is more than that. The last part is about the fields. You know, yes, brother. Yeto nyala for yalong anun ntol nga recognize le yalong wala tinanko nunto minka kenon footballo molbe lafto wala so molbe ka footballer noma government fanan la do ku jama be footballer topoto kan bari nga lone ko gambiano la interest o tambita footballo dama dol bi jela mi yalong ko lafta borola dol bi jela mi yalong ko basketball volleyball nyobaringo and all of that so wala tina sign ntolla Mansa Kunda me minkeka ko wolem na ninga dula dada ni alon ko balabo nyoto dulale ate keno la footballo damat mba jelale ko mbe footballo sotole jele nga basketball soto je nga volleyball soto je nga handball soto je in one mini stadium so wala tina nyindo mi alon ko sign nga dati sign na mamme wolem di mboyo filti membe ba kote mbe minkeka wolem ko footballo be tarla jele anum be 3-in-1 quarter soto la je mi alon ko be kala basket, volleyball and handball so that ñin sabol be se kunnoji right and saying any other dula mi alon ko badadala le ba jela ko ñin dol fana ye tereji athletics wo fana sulata la dulalto me minke kan wolem ko nit ñi face parata pour stadium mo mbina track sol fana bondila at the stadium nga track to kije mi alon ko wolebe kala dulati and in the future mi nge dula do dada mba katala pour ka tracks jibe bare saying mboyo fil abe ñin basketball volleyball so and comme ya fa ñame na manki hani football filoti dama director fele about 2 weeks ago at BCC pour ining Brikama Banjul area council kacha Purunsa Jeko nga ba Manisila Memorial Hall dala kutake pura murung abenu nyame. Anong fanam wo fanam be continue pour ka diko dulal dot nga katanga. So we recognize that we will do our best to include other sports in our infrastructure development.
Thank you. Next set of questions.
Director to the Honorable Minister. I am very frequent at the Independence Stadium following renovation works, and I can proudly say as a Gambian, we've seen a huge improvement in terms of trying to change the face of the stadium to at least a standard one. That said, you said, and I quote, that the stadium, or the renovation work will be done by the end of the month. And I know after that, CAF should be here for inspection at least 45 days before the stadium is playable. When do we expect to see CAF in this country? And talking about the renovation work, what happens to the roads leading to the Independence Stadium? And our tracks, very important. Our athletes are suffering going to Dakar every time for training. And this is why we cannot. Yes, I'm asking still one question concerning the Independence Stadium. Okay. The tracks. Our athletes are going beyond the country to train, and that's why we cannot produce more Gina Bass and Ibrahima Kamara still. When will this third phase of the renovation start? And what step have you taken to make sure these tracks are changed immediately after this second phase is done? Thank you.
Thank you. Very good question. Yes. So, Honorable.
Okay. Now, Mr. Nani, about when is CAF going to be here? I mean, really, I cannot be able to say when CAF is going to be here. One thing is certain: we are taking the final pictures on Tuesday. This coming Tuesday is when we'll be taking the final pictures, and we will send them to CAF. Now, CAF will make a determination as to whether they are okay with the pictures and the videos that is coming from the stadium, and decide to give it a pass, or they would decide to send an officer to come on the ground and inspect. If they are okay with the photos and the videos, that will be good enough. But if they want to come here, that really is up to CAF. It's because we cannot determine for them when they can be able to send an officer. Like I said, what happened in the other time when we wanted them to be here, it took them a whole month or 2 months before they had been here. So that's the answer to that. The tax, we are definitely on it. Like I said, these are expensive projects, and sometimes, yes, we do our best, but it also depends on the allocations of funds. If you want to fix the tracks today, if we just left ours alone, we can just go and fix the tracks. We can do it as a holistic project. But we are allocated funds, and we respond to the availability funds and do what we're doing. The commitment is there. We're taking them in phases. The third phase is what is going to be the tracks, and we're really committed towards it. And we want our athletes to be training. Now, let me say something about this Senegal thing that I see sometimes people talk about. Senegal has an excellent center, and it's an excellent center for West Africa. It is not a government project. It is developed by the Olympic Solidarity, understanding that most of these sub-Saharan African countries don't have good tracks. So they developed an excellent center based in Senegal for the countries within the sub-region to send their athletes to go and train there. That is why Gambia, Sierra Leone, Cote d'Ivoire, Gina's major competitor is Talou. Talou was in Senegal for the same center. So this is the issue that is also important, that we tell people that the center in Senegal is an excellent center for the region. Not by the government, but by the Olympic Solidarity, understanding the struggle that these countries have. They build one in an identified country in the region, and the athletes of these areas would go there for training. That is the issue about Senegal, and that's why our athletes go there. Yes, we don't have tracks that is good enough, but this also needs to be clarified. Thank you.
Thank you. We go to the other side of the aisle.
To the Honorable Minister, with regards to the overall process of sports development, is your ministry also thinking forward in terms of building a national sports museum where our athletes history or even past achievements would be archived and our stories got to be told by our people? Is your ministry really looking forward to this in the long run? Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mohamed Jallo from GRTS. I have three important questions, but since I cannot ask them, I will ask one. Hopefully I can get the mic back. My first question is, I will quote from the Information Minister's opening speech where he said, this sector is very important, and to a large extent, the development of this country depends on this sector, and the progress of the country also, to a large extent, will depend on this sector. Now, what I want to ask is, knowing how important this sector is, why is it that this sector continues to attract the least budget among the ministries? And what is the Ministry of Youth and Sports doing to make sure that the budget of the Ministry of Youth and Sports would be increased to make sure that it gets that budget that would be able to cater for both youth and sports?
Thank you. Very good question. Honorable.
Thank you very much. My name is Omar Jaju, the president of the SGAG, the Sports Journalists Association of the Gambia. So I want to begin by commending the minister for coming up with this great idea. I think for the first time in the history of Gambian sports, we have a sports tribunal that is going to ensure fairness and justice in Gambian sports. So I want to commend you for that. My quick question is, you've mentioned also the Sports Act. We have the Sports Council Act, which was going. It's good to come up with this act. But how did the consultation process go? Did you consult the sports associations? I know that you consulted the Regional Sports Committee, and this act directly involves the National Sports Associations. I'm asking, did you consult them? If not, at what level did you want to include them in this very important decision-making process?
Thank you. Thank you. Honorable.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jal, for that question. You see, government is set up in such a way that most of the ministries set up are equally the same. In around July or August, we received call circular from finance, giving each ministry a ceiling, asking you your budgetary submissions should be based on that ceiling. I like your question very much, and because I will be advocating for that. Considering the importance of this sector, two critical sectors, the youth and sports, and the youth component are the majority of the population, which means that this sector is very critical. I fully agree with you. We need the bulk of the cake to make sure we implement most of our programs. We will not be tired. We will keep on pushing to make sure that we get more budgetary allocations to be able to implement all our intended programs. But yes, again, it's a way that things are structured at the Ministry of Finance. My colleague PSC here will attest to that. They give you a ceiling, ask you to do your budget based on that ceiling. Whether it's enough or not, you have to squeeze yourself toward that ceiling. Hope that answers your question. Thank you.
I think let me just also add on to what Yes is saying. That's a very important question. Remember also that youth issues are mainstreamed across the other sectors as well. So if let's take education for example. I think education receives a chunk of the budget. I'm not sure 100% of the budget, but I think they receive really a chunk of the budget. And remember that most of the young people are in the education sector as well. So if you want to take all the budget, give it to youth and deprive, let's say, infrastructure, which is important for trade, which is important for tourism, which is important for other stuff as well, education, healthcare, employment. And employment is not with the youth, it's with trade as well. And we have to also focus on that. The most important thing is that the budget is made in a manner in which young people's issues are mainstreamed in the other sectors, just like when we say gender. If the Ministry of Gender will also say women are 51% of the population, therefore most of the budgets will go there, but women, female, gender issues are also mainstream in other sectors as well, in healthcare, for example, and so on and so forth. So this is very critical. But we commend you that even with the meager budget that you have, you're able to implement all these very important projects in developing sports and young people in this country.
Okay, I think the question on the budget is adequately answered, so to save time, no need to talk about it. But the Sport Act, or the bill, did we consult? No, there was a task force that was put in place, and it had representatives from the umbrella body of the sport associations, which is the GNOC, because all the other sports are all part of the GNOC. So the GNOC was represented in the task force that was developing the bill in consultation with the consultant that was identified. Now, once it gets through the process, there is a secondary aspect, and that's where we believe the association play a key role, which is the sport regulation. So the act is more or less a framework that is put in place. But the act, in a particular section of the bill, when it becomes an act, is saying that there should be a regulation that would be done to administer the act itself. So this is where we believe that we will have a consultation, nationwide consultation, just like we did with the policy, because laws are mostly government-controlled issue. Because you will never agree, because you're trying to regulate something that those people will probably never agree with you if you want to regulate them in such a way. But the regulation would be the one that we believe would be subjected to that level.
I think there was one question. Yeah. All the questions answered.
The museum, sorry. I'm told there was a question on National Sport Museum. Well, to say the truth, no, we have no plans at the moment to have a museum. What we intend to do is to use one of the rooms at the stadium to have something specific to sports, like a little bit of history, a little bit of pictures from the past, and put them somewhere else for people that go there to see. You can call it a mini museum, but we have currently no plans of developing a nationwide museum for sport only.
Okay, so we'll take the last set of questions. We'll make it 4. I hope you are taking notes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Fatou Baji, a representative from the Gambia Judo, and also serving as an executive and also a judoka. That's an athlete. My main question is going to the National Youth Council and also the ministry. My main concern is I had so many times that you guys were mentioning facilities that have been provided to the athletes, to the basketball players, to handball, baseball. But I didn't hear anything about providing a national structure for those involved in judo, taekwondo, kung fu, and other combating sports. So is there any long-term goal or any procedure or any steps that you guys are having or any plans that you guys are having towards providing us with a national structure?
Infrastructural development, we know it is important, but do you factor the quality of this infrastructure and durability?
Ibrahim Ajouf. Okay. Yeah, so for the people that want to become sport commentators and analyzers, what are some of the steps we can take in order to achieve that set goals?
It is important for the Ministry of Youth and Sports to be pushing the agenda of scholar athletes. So do you, or if not, is there anything in the plan to have specific Ministry of Youth and Sports scholarship, especially those targeted towards our national athletes who are home-based here in the Gambia?
Thank you.
Thank you. Of course, this is done because when you want to put up an infrastructure, you don't put up the infrastructure for the sake of having it just for a very short period. The mini stadia that we build across the country, including the renovation of the Independence Stadium. Our objective is to ensure that this infrastructure lasts long, knowing that finances is something that we are limited by. So when we are building these infrastructures, we ensure that we build an infrastructure that is durable and also of quality. So I think that answers your question. And also, they are given to contractors that are qualified, so that it will also ensure, your doubt, that is the durability and the quality. And the other question from our brother there, I would advise that you pursue journalism, because we have the Sports Journalists Association here, so that you will get the right advice from them on how to pursue that dream to be a commentator and an analyst. Yes. And the third one, Madam from the Gambia Judo Association. Like the minister said earlier, a few weeks ago, I was at BCC to discuss with them on how to sign an MOU and then try to upgrade Manesilla Hall, so that we are able to at least put up something like an indoor. But with the martial arts, you can do them anywhere in the mini stadium that we are building. You have to have your tatami and then spread it on the lawns that will be built, and then you do your activities there. So all martial arts are also part of the activities of building an infrastructure for sports across the country. So you are also catered for. Thank you.
Are all the questions answered? Which one? Scholar athletes, yes.
What are we doing? Okay, so let me start with the other one. I think that answer gives us with judo and taekwondo, even in this hall, you can do it here. You just need the tatami, spread it, and then you're good to go. So one thing that I want to say is about the innovative nature of the associations that are running the sports. Because as a ministry, as a sport council, our responsibility is policy, regulation, and to some extent the financing. But the running of the association itself is the mandate of the executive that the associations elect. And they also have their international partners. But the international partners want to see it regularized at the country level, and then you are doing activities and reporting, and then they can support you with some of these things. I mean, we happened with basketball. Those times it was difficult. They have an executive that came up and they put things in place, and they're now back on track. The same thing happens with quite a number of associations that we can give example of. And also, we want you to also put your leadership to task so that they also start initiating something and getting the support that is necessary. Now, the scholar athletes, what do we have? Really, at the moment, we do not have any concept around it. All what we depend on is, for instance, we have an opportunity for coaches to train, and then they come and train the athletes. But for the athletes themselves, we do not currently have a program. Maybe that's something that we probably need to discuss more and see how best we can initiate it. But again, even if you do, it's more about taking them outside to train. And some of them is mostly through the colleges and others. And sometimes we have those challenges because we've had, no need to mention names, but we have top athletes who could not get to those kind of programs because they did not have the entry requirement based on their educational level. So these are some of the challenges. But like I said, we can discuss this in detail and see how best we can be able to support. The last thing is about what are we doing to support young people so that they don't go. They don't travel. I think we said this before, the ED said something, we said something. All of these programs that we're doing are meant for young people. If young people take up the idea, the initiative of NEDI to go into business, and we are convinced we will support them, they will excel, they will be supported. Of course, we cannot support everyone. Or if they want to do some training, NYSS, PIA, Chairman, the GSI, they are all available for young people. The batches, every batch we recruit, we have twice the number that we can take. And sometimes it's because we cannot take all of them. So everything revolves around the capacity, the financing, and everything. But we were doing our best to be able to get as many young people as possible. But all of us also have a responsibility to talk to our brothers and sisters. I mean, we all grew up in the country. The same struggles is what we all faced. We bear it, we develop ourselves, and we are today be able to do something. We want people also to believe that the little things that they have today, if they build on it, they can be able to grow and become better. But if you want to start today and succeed today, it's going to be difficult. And that is what we're encountering with a lot of young people who think, I mean, like for instance, a 12-year-old going on the back way. For what reason?
Thank you, Honorable. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you very much. Is the mic working? Yes. Thank you very much. I think before I close, Honorable Minister, I'm just asking two things from your ministry. One is I'd like to see a gym at the beach for young people. You see, if young people train and are healthy, we'll spend less on healthcare and divest that money into sports development. The healthcare is overwhelmed because we are not living a healthy lives. But if there are gyms at every strategic location at the beach, we can go and train. We wouldn't need the hospitals. We'll instead be held. That's one. Two, land management. Young people need space. All this sports infrastructure needs space. But the way we are now building, we're not catering for space, for youth centers and recreation facilities and stadiums. All these things we need space. If we build houses everywhere and stores and shops, where is the space to build these stadiums and these minutes? So please take note of that as well. Thank you very much. At the ministry, our job, our mandate is to ensure that we give timely, authentic, relevant, accurate information to the public. Next, Mansa Kunda, in 2 weeks, the Ministry of Health will come to also interface with Gambians. Honorable Minister and your team, thank you very much. Thank you very much, the media, the press, and also everyone watching at home. Thank you until in 2 weeks' time from the Town Hall, Mansa Kunda Ministerial Town Hall. And thank you to all the media team, the technical team, everyone who made this a success, and also the staff from the Ministry of Information as well. Thank you until next 2 weeks' time. Thank you.